Welcome back. We'll continue with the first chapter of the Ashtavakra Gita. In the third verse, Rishi Ashtavakra says to King Janaka, Na prithvi na jalam nagnihi, na prithvi na jalam nagnihi, na vayur dhyar na va bhavan, na vayur dhyar na va bhavan, esham sakshinam atmanam, esham sakshinam atmanam, chidrupam vidhi muktaye, chidrupam vidhi muktaye. At the end of the second line, Ashtavakra addresses the king very formally. Bhavan, you, sir, you are na prithvi, you are not made of earth. Na jalam, nor are you made of water. Na agnir, nor of fire. Na vayur, nor of air. Dhyar nava, nor are you made of space. You, sir, are not made of these 5 elements, the basic constituents of the universe, as they understood in ancient times. Ashtavakra's message is simple. Your body is indeed made of elements. It's made of physical stuff, but you are not. Why? Because you are esham sakshinam. You are the sakshi, the observer. You are the awareful witness of all that physical stuff. By definition, anything that you observe is not you, because you are the observer. You are not something observed. I can observe this cloth, so I'm not the cloth. I can observe this body, so I'm not this body. On the other hand, atmanam, atma, the true inner self, is chit rupa. By its very nature, atma is chit, consciousness, awareness. Atma is the consciousness that enables you to witness or observe objects like your body and everything in the world around you. So, Ashtavakra concludes, vidhi, you must know, you must personally discover or realize Atma, your true self, the pure consciousness that is your essential nature. Why should you discover your true nature? Muktaye, for the sake of mukti, for the sake of becoming liberated, enlightened. This division between observer and observed, or between knower and known, is a basic principle of Advaita Vedanta, a principle that you've probably heard many times before. But here, Ashtavakra uses this point to set the stage, so to speak, for an extremely important observation in the next verse. Yadi deham pratakritya, yadi deham pratakritya, chiti vishramya tishtasi, chiti vishramya tishtasi, adhunaiva sukhi shanto, adhunaiva sukhi shanto, bandha mukto bhavishyasi, bandha mukto bhavishyasi. Yadi pratakritya, if you separate yourself, if you detach or distance yourself from your deham, from your body. In this context, that includes both your physical body, your sthula sharira, and your subtle body, your sukshma sharira. That includes your mind and sense faculties. So if you separate or detach yourself from your body, mind, and senses, and then chiti vishramya, if you rest in awareness, if you effortlessly abide in the pure consciousness that's your essential nature, and also tishtasi, if you remain in that state, if you continue to abide in your true nature as pure consciousness, then adhuna eva, immediately, in that very moment, bhavishyasi, you will become sukhi, happy, content, and shanta, calm, peaceful. In that very moment, you will become bandhamuktaha, free from bondage, free from suffering, liberated, enlightened. Ashtavakra says if you detach yourself from your body and mind, and you effortlessly abide in pure consciousness, and you continue to do so, then you will immediately become content, peaceful, and free from bondage, liberated, enlightened. Do any of you see a possible problem here? What happens if you are not able to remain in that state of complete detachment from your body and mind? What happens if you can't constantly abide in pure awareness? What if something prevents you from remaining in a state of perfect contentment? The fact is, all mental states are subject to change. Your own mind is constantly changing. How long does an emotion last? How long can you concentrate on something? Sooner or later, the state of your mind will change, and it will assume another state, and then another, and another. There's no such thing as a permanent mental state, unless perhaps you're dead or in a deep coma due to brain damage. So let's be very clear about this. Enlightenment cannot be a mental state, like the feeling of being peaceful or content, because all mental states are temporary. According to the ancient rishis, including Ashtavakra himself, enlightenment or liberation, moksha, is complete and permanent freedom from suffering. Freedom from suffering now, in this life, and freedom from suffering later, after this life comes to an end. So, moksha cannot be a mental state. Is it possible that the states described here by Ashtavakra are actually the result of gaining moksha? Could these states be produced by enlightenment and then experienced by those who are already enlightened, people like Ashtavakra and Janaka? Well, yes, and Ashtavakra makes that clear with his use of the expression adhuna eva, instantly, in this very moment. As we saw before, the state of your mind is constantly shifting. It gradually changes from one state to another. So it's no surprise that gaining enlightenment will change the state of your mind. An enlightened mind is far more likely to be detached, content, and peaceful. An enlightened mind is also capable of effortlessly abiding in consciousness. But that's not Ashtavakra's point here. He's talking about instantaneous enlightenment. He's describing instant liberation, which is called Sadyomukti, to differentiate it from gradual liberation, krama mukti. Obviously, if enlightenment is instantaneous and mental states change gradually, then enlightenment cannot possibly be a mental state. So then, what exactly is this instantaneous enlightenment that's described here? Well, from Ashtavakra's point of view, atma, your true self, is already liberated. Atma is already enlightened in the sense that it's already free from suffering. Atma was never subject to bondage or suffering in the first place, because Atma is unborn, uncreated, eternally divine. That's why Shankaracharya describes Atma with his favorite expression, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhava, eternally pure, eternally enlightened, and eternally liberated. But then, how does this so-called instant enlightenment actually take place? Well, when you look in a mirror, how long does it take to recognize yourself? You recognize yourself instantly. The same is true with regard to recognizing your true self, Atma. Metaphorically, you discover or recognize your true nature when it's reflected in the so-called word mirror of Vedanta. That is, you become enlightened when scriptural teachings lead you to recognize an already existent truth. The truth that your essential nature is pure consciousness, as it's always been. That self-recognition takes place in an instant. You don't have to continually stare into a mirror to recognize yourself. A glance is all it takes. In the same way, a momentary insight in which you personally recognize or realize your true nature as pure consciousness is all that's needed. Please note here that self-recognition is not a mental state. It's not a state of detachment. It's not a state of peace or contentment. Then what is it? To use the words of Adi Shankara, recognition of your true nature as pure consciousness is a matter of self-knowledge, atma-jnanam, and that knowledge takes place instantly, not gradually. He explains it like this. In a dark room, when you turn on a light, the darkness in the room is removed instantly, not gradually. And in the absence of darkness, the already existent features of the room are instantly revealed. In the same way, the so-called veil of ignorance that covers or obscures your true nature is instantly removed by the so-called light of knowledge, atma-jnanam, the knowledge that reveals the true nature of your already existent divine self, Atma. By the way, this verse probably makes it clear that the Ashtavakra Gita is not an introductory text, as we discussed before. This text is meant to follow your practice of Shravana and Manana, self-inquiry guided by the scriptures, and logical analysis to remove doubts. This text is meant for nididhyasana, Vedantic Contemplation. So, we'll conclude this class with a brief guided contemplation. It's crucial to prepare your mind for nididhyasana, so, as we did last time, you can now pause this video for a while and practice any meditation technique that makes your mind extremely quiet and focused. Then, when your mind is sufficiently prepared, you can return to this video and listen to the guided contemplation that follows with your eyes closed. Om. If your mind is completely quiet and focused now, we can proceed. Right now, at this moment, you are aware of the state of your mind, including the sound of my voice that arises in your mind. You are conscious of everything that happens in your mind. And everything that happens in your mind is constantly changing. But the consciousness that reveals everything happening in your mind does not change. That unchanging consciousness is your essential nature, atma. Sometimes your mind is bright, and at other times it's quite dull. You know the brightness and dullness of your mind because your essential nature is consciousness, unchanging consciousness. Sometimes feelings of happiness or sadness are present in your mind. You know the presence of happiness or sadness in your mind because your essential nature is unchanging consciousness. Sometimes your mind is agitated, and sometimes it's quiet. You know the presence of agitation and quietness in your mind because your essential nature is unchanging consciousness. Now, as I chant Om, pay attention to your experience. Simply observe whatever is happening right now in the present moment. Right now, you are present here as consciousness itself. Is this consciousness bright or is it dull? Right now, you are present here as consciousness itself. Is this consciousness happy or sad? Right now, you are present here as consciousness itself. Is this consciousness subject to suffering? right now you are present here as consciousness itself. Is this consciousness subject to suffering? Oh.